basically while we're here, we're putting this thing up in the air to do checks on stuff. We check the brakes. Brakes are decent on it, so we're not going to mess with that. I'm going to put all this back together. That's not a good sign for the drum coming off. Go straight to him.
Okay. I'm getting it, okay?
Dad used to say something about a monkey and a football. So, we have checked out the brakes. The brakes are okay as we're going to get them on this car. They work, and all the parts are there. That's what we're doing. Today, though, that's not what we're really talking about. Today, we're talking about this wheel offset guide from the guys at Ramsteed or Ramstead. He'll probably write it in and let me know I'm wrong, and that's fine by me. This is a really cool part that is one of those things that we talked about last week with 3D printed items, and it's just a bunch of plastic pieces that he had 3D printed to make into a really cool piece so you can check offsets on your wheels. But before we get started, I got something I need to talk to you about on the rear of just about any car that's built before, well, I don't know, yesterday. All right, so what I'm going to talk about now is rear end offset. This is something that's a big issue on a lot of classic cars. A lot of guys don't think about that when they're doing a wheel offset guide. You'll want to go to both sides of the car and check things. The quickest way to do that is to grab yourself a non-purple yardstick. I have had these for ages. They were used in doing a yard sale. So I use them every once in a while, but you can take and go down to the Home Improvement Center and grab one and cut it down like this one has been cut down to 27.5 inches. What this is for is you pick up the car on the rear axle and you put this in here to see if your offset is the same on this side. Now what I'm showing you right now is the driver's side of the car, and there is a difference in offset. A lot of times these axles will either be put in this way or people won't try to center the axle whenever they're putting new leaf springs on a car, and that's a big deal. You want to make sure that everything gets centered up when you're putting it back together, because if you don't, you can end up buying wheels and tires that just won't fit because they fit great on one side of the car and not so much on the other. I have heard of GM products out there in the market on the classic line where you're off by as much as 1/2 of an inch on one side or the other. And I don't know if that's correctable or not. If it's one that has the 3-link or the 4-link on the back of it, where you're using control arms on the bottom, it's going to be really hard to get that back into a center line if it's out. So you need to make sure you understand that, and you're going to want to set up your wheels and tires to the side that is closest to the outside lip of your wheel well. So we're probably only about right here on this wheel lip. Now if I try to push this any further up into the wheel lip, you'll see that the bottom of the yardstick starts sticking out a little bit, and that's really not good, because what that's telling you is if it's not striking on this inside lip here, you're probably going to get wheel well strike up here in the top, and it's still going to cause you a problem of scrubbing the outside edge of your tire. So you want to make sure when you do this that you kind of account for that when you're getting your wheels. Now you don't want to offset them so much that you're like, sitting inside the wheel well too deep, but on this side, this wheel is actually out a little bit too much. But that can be fixed by going on a leaf spring car and adjusting the rear axle to the driver's side just a tad. Okay? Okay, now the fun part of using the tool. This has got to go on there. I gotta believe that's what that is. If we were import guys, this would be like second nature to us. Screwing around. You're going to be in a 60-year-old man. Woo! Stupid offset machines and burner burners. Right, so theoretically, 2 of those going down. We have 2. Did we?
Take number 37.
Oh man! Stop it! Old man trying to put together wheel offset
We're
guy.
giving him like random numbers for what take it is, just to mess him up.
I'm thinking about people watching the take number 37, old man trying to put wheel machine together, or wheel offset guide together. Why is it that everything we have in the shop here, we don't have anything that doesn't, it has a front end on it and an engine in it?
It's a vibe. It's lifestyle.
So we are now as a lifestyle show.
Fox Nation.
I think that's taken already. Okay, so we know that, do that. So this, you got to do the other thing. So this is the wheel size that you're going to be using. Wait, he's figuring things out, folks.
Put that on there.
That goes on there.
And that.
Seems small.
That, yeah.
We're doing something incorrectly. Unless it's this way. Okay, what if it's that way?
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't have a clue.
Oh, there's a picture.
Remember, folks, always consult the instructions.
Read once, guess 37 seconds. Okay, so there you go. Like that.
You're so helpful.
Now, on the rear axle, if it's less than half an inch out, I wouldn't recommend adjusting it side to side. Some of those can be engineered in for offset on the driveline, so if you straighten those out, you can run a risk of getting an oscillation into your drive shaft and your U-joints. So if it isn't that bad, just leave it alone. No need to fix it. All right, so we have this set up on the wheel. We have it set for a 17-inch diameter, a 9-inch width. Let me move this so you can see it. So this box right here indicates on the bottom the width of the wheel. And then this slider up top goes in and out. Let me pull the Allen key out so you can see how this moves. And this will indicate your offset, whether it's a positive, negative, whatever you want. This is a 0 offset, so when it's lined up flush with the end, it's 0. All right, I'm just going to snug that down, put the Allen key back because that thing loves to hide from us. All right, so a 9-inch wheel, 17-inch diameter. Knowing these cars, 9-inch is not really ideal on these chassis unless you do a sucked-in offset wheel, which this is set for 0. It's not what it is. But we're going to check the inside diameter now with a tape measure. So it's a 9-inch wheel. I'm going to line up 9 inches. Yeah. Going to line up 9 inches with this tab here, which indicates the outside lip of the wheel, which is the bead, basically the bead to bead size. So at 9 inches, we've got, I'd say 4 inches to the back of this bump stop. I'd say 5 or 6 to the spring. Rotate it back here. And the same on the back. So this would work in theory, but the tire that you have to fit would need to be a pretty close tolerance profile to fit inside the wheel well. Right now, our lip of the wheel is lining up with the screws of the fender, so that ain't gonna work unless you have low pros, and anytime you accelerate, this wheel tends to shoot this diagonal or up into it. So it's going to be pulling closer to this lip here, which is probably why that's bent. So you want to keep that in mind. Ideally, we'd probably run an 8 on this, an 8-inch wide wheel. 9s are kind of annoying because you have to get the offset, and then the front's probably going to be different from the back, so you can't rotate your tires, yada, 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 yada. The fun of measuring wheels. Now on the back, the inside measurement isn't as critical except for things like these bump stops, wheel wells kinda, but the front is where that really comes into play, and you really need to think about your tire on top of the wheel. If the wheel fits in there, that's great. If your tire doesn't fit in there, that's the problem, because you will not be leaving cinder blocks. But all in all, a little 3D printed tool. This thing is quite handy, disassembles, throw it in a box, and it's good to go for the next one. And they also have different wheel hub adapters for like 8 lug, 10 lug, what have you. This is a 5 and a 4, so pretty versatile, and I'm happy with it.
All right, now I wanted to talk a little bit about tires real quickly before we move out of this segment. these tires that are on this car are kind of like everything else on this car. They are actually a zero sidewall tire, which means that the sidewall should be flat to the rim, but the tread is too big for the rim. In other words, the tire they picked is too wide for the rim they're running on the car, and so what that's caused is to actually now have a sidewall on the tire because it is pooching out at the top. Be real careful when you're buying tires because these profiles, the tire size itself is what's going to really dictate your big problems inside of the wheel wells with striking inside frame rails and things like that. You have less of a problem on the outside of the wheel if you get the right size wheel for your application, but if you don't and you run too big of a tire, you can have the same issues that we have like with our 69 Fairlane wagon. Now we did not have those issues until we lowered the wagon by putting the QA1 shocks on it because somebody had already gone in and cut the springs down by about 1 coil, which dropped the nose. And then after we did the Shelby drop and also put the shims in it and then put the QA1s, we were actually about 1 inch lower, which really caused us some issues. Now that is a zero sidewall tire. Most tires that you run are going to have a bulge on them. You'll note on this, the tread is what's bulging, and I can stick my finger in here on the wheel. Now Cam and I both are not big proponents of zero sidewall tires simply because of the fact that curb rash is a real problem. We all know that we're not going to hit a curb with the tire, don't we? We all know that we're going to do it, don't we? Because it's bound to happen. And if you have that tire that's got a little bit of a bulge to it, you're going to have that little bit of a safety margin to keep from jacking your wheels up. We've actually almost curb rashed the wagon wheels once. There, I admitted it. All right, folks, that's our show for this week. I wanted to show you that little tool, kind of breaking off what we did last week with the video on talking about 3D printed items, and this one is just one of those things that somebody's done. And it's a nice little tool that you can keep in your toolbox. It flattens out really good. Good thing to have. The reason Cam's not out here with me on this one is because he's having to run a camera because Darren was out of town this weekend on some personal business. So he's away for the weekend, but he'll be back working on doing editing stuff. And Cam and I are going to start our slam on this 67 Mustang starting tomorrow. We're going to get out here and just going to blow video through this. We're going to do time lapse and all that. Should be really cool. Speaking of cool, do me a favor and go out and check out Patreon at the $10 a month level. You get monthly meetings with me on Zoom. It's a lot of fun, but there's more coming. We are actually going to be starting to do giveaways and raffles, coffee cups, t-shirts, and doodles done by yours truly. I'll take a picture of your car and do a little doodle of it in ink like the one I'm showing you here, and bam, you got a piece of art from a YouTube person. Okay. It's not much, but it's a lot. Yes, it takes time to do those doodles. Also, we answer tech questions. We talk to you guys on the Zoom meetings. It is a lot of fun. I've never gotten Cam to come in for one. He says he's done. We got pissed about it too, didn't he? He says he's done one before. I don't remember it, but then again, I'm almost 60, so it'll be like in a couple of weeks. So I don't even remember where I'm at most of the time. Who are you? Anyway, the next thing I'm going to talk about is, you guessed it, super thanks. It's the best, worst idea that YouTube has ever come up with as a way to bring money into the kitty to help us out around here. If we've done anything at all to help you on a consistent basis, check out the Patreon account and throw some money in the kitty over there. Or if you do it on Super Thanks, you can do it one time. If we hit one video and you go, dang, that was worth $150. That was worth $1.5 million. We're still waiting on that guy, by the way. So if you're out there and you got the $1.5 million in US bucks, please, by all means, throw it in the Super Thanks. If you do something like $150, we'll put video of you up. If you'll send us a video of yourself saying, hey Jeff, I just love your show, we'll throw that right out there in that spot, and you can say something nice to the folks out there. And I was going to say TV land, but honestly, who watches anything on TV anymore? Am I right? Of course not. Do me a favor, folks. Be kind to each other, love each other, treat each other nice. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Auto Resto Mod. Am I dreading tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday? A little. And I think if Cam were honest, he would say he's probably dreading a little bit too. He's nodding his head from behind the camera. You can't see him. Jackson, get a picture of him nodding his head from behind the camera. See, he's doing it too. But it's going to be neat. I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be kind of good. Yes, I am talking myself into this.